When we talk about Southern Kung Fu styles, so styles from Southern China, especially the Fujian province, we often hear the word bridging, yeah? Creating a bridge. Bridging basically just means a contact with your partner and a contact with your opponent, which is something you can then cross, like we cross a bridge, yeah? So if my guard is up and I feel out to connect with my partner's guard, that's a bridge. And then I can then control their guard, cross that bridge. Or it's often said that if your partner creates a bridge with you, then you need to either cross the bridge before they do, or destroy the bridge, yeah? Or change the bridge and then cross it so that you're in an advantageous position. Something that's often not explained is how to create a bridge and the quality of contact, the quality of touch when we create a bridge, when we make contact with an opponent. Because the beauty of traditional Chinese Kung Fu is it goes beyond just a physical brute force contact against an opponent's arm or any other part of their body. Yes, we have that, you know, we train that, we do lots of arm conditioning, lots of body conditioning, lots of shin conditioning, so that we can just brute force our way through, yeah? And Emperor Taizu, so Taizu Chuan is a great example of this just unyielding, forceful look at how to just destroy an opponent. But then we have the white crane. The white crane can, you know, it's a thin, small, meek bird, you know, it can't just brute force its way through. So what we learn from the white crane is how to improve touch, the intelligent way that we make contact with an opponent. Now in this video I'm on my own, I don't have a partner or one of my students here to demonstrate on, to show you what I mean. I might do a video like that later if I can get someone to come along to film with me, but for now I'll try and explain the quality of touch you're looking for in the white crane system. When I bridge with an opponent, either if it's on the outside bridge, which just means going from the outside gate, if it's the inside bridge, so like I'm taking their arm, so I'm on the inside of their guard, in between their arms, it doesn't matter. The point of touch, the point of contact, I'm aiming to never be on the contact point. When I touch my opponent, when I bridge my opponent, what I want their body to do is not to think about I'm bridged or there's contact. What I want them to think is, even if it's for a second, why am I off balance? Yeah? Why can't I move? Why am I stuck? And this is often not a thought that appears in their head. Their nervous system goes, this feeling is not normal. So at that point of bridging correctly, they're not thinking about destroying the bridge. They're not thinking about punching you in the face or kicking you. They're thinking about their own balance and how to regain their own center. And that's enough time for you to enter into their space and finish, whether you're fighting, finish the fight or take them off balance if you're just drilling or sparring or whatever. Now, how do we develop that quality of touch? Chinese martial arts often talk about your your attention, yeah, or some people call it intention, but I like to call it just where my mind is at that point, where my focus point is. So when I make a bridge with an opponent and I touch their arm, what I'm trying to do is, through the contact point of the skin, I'm trying to feel down into their hips, for example. Or I'm trying to feel down into their feet. It's more of an energetic feeling, like I'm trying to just listen down and put my my focus, my attention, not on the point of contact, but a slight push down into their feet. What will happen is my body, my involuntary muscles, my postural muscles, my tissues, if I've trained properly enough, will align myself in such a subtle way that it will cause them to go down into their feet or go down into their hip. So that contact point, even if it's for a second, even if it's for 2 seconds, even if it's for half a second, they're going, oh, they're kind of squashed. They feel like they're sunk down into their own body, and they can't feel my body. They can't feel what I'm trying to do because they're trapped in their own body. And that's enough time. Yeah, that's enough time for me to do what I need to do. Let me try and explain that using a staff. So an exercise I used to do when I was younger to try and train this, and I didn't even know I was training this, but it was just about trying to put my attention to the tip of the staff, is what I would do is I'd get a staff, put it down, and then if your attention's here and you're trying to lift it, it's quite difficult. Yeah, I've got a shorter staff to do this because otherwise it will go out of the shot. The longer staff will go out of shot. But you get a longer staff and you try and lift it. And yeah, you might be able to lift it if you're strong enough in your wrist. But if you actually maybe get a piece of paper or something, or just imagine there's something there, and you're actually trying to go under and shovel it up, it's much easier to lift, because what happens is my posture will align so that it connects up through the length of the staff so that it takes me there. So my body will work correctly to lift the staff. So the same thing happens when you bridge with an opponent, and instead of just bridging with their arm and being at their arm and thinking, what do I do now with their arm? On touch, it's a soft touch, and then the same way that you try and shovel something up with the staff, I'm actually taking my attention down to a different part of their body, let's say their hips or their feet. And what happens is my body will realign so that it can feel down into their hips or their feet. And also the pathway between, let's say, their hips and my contact point becomes part of the system that I use to feel, to listen. So that part of their body becomes slightly trapped. Yeah, afterwards they can go, oop, after a second or two, oop, and then change and recover. But a second or two is really all you need. You know, in a fast combat situation, a second or two is all you need. Now, if you get really good at this and build really good sensitivity, which we call ting, listening skill, when you make the bridge with your opponent and you feel them compress and get stuck, after a second or however long it takes them to recover, as they recover, because your sensitivity is so good, you feel down again into a different part of their body and make them stuck again. And you just keep doing that, yeah? So it's a constant adjustment of your own bridge. And it's not big adjustments, it's just subtle adjustments, yeah? And what happens is every time they try and recover, they're actually putting themselves off balance again, because their recovery, as they recover to regain balance in contact with you, you readjust. And as you readjust, they're off balance again. This is the level of bridging that I aim for in my white crane, in my tiger crane practice. Yeah, when I'm drilling, when I'm sparring with my friends or my students, I aim to bridge and not contact the surface, but contact all the way down into them. Now, to do this efficiently and to do it well takes a lot of practice, And in a real fighting situation, at best it will give you a second, yeah, or half a second. So you can't really go, ooh, great bridge, and then just wait because you're pleased with yourself. Look, I've made such a great bridge. You're just going to get kicked in the head. Yeah? It's just enough to bridge, and then you can enter and do what you need to do. It's just to give them a oof, make them slightly squashed or off balance. In these videos, what I like to do, just to explain, I like to try and look at the principles and the exercises that I've learned through my training over the decades, look at what's publicly out there, and try to help practitioners understand maybe a deeper aspect of them. Understand how they can take their practice to a higher level. Everything that I'm teaching or everything that I explain is stuff I've done myself and I've gone through myself. I train quite hard in my own practice, and I'm a bit of a thinker, you know, I did philosophy at university, so I like to analyze, I like to look quite deeply at things and try to dissect things. Why do we do this? Why do we do this? Why do we do this? So the qualities that I develop in my own training, I like to share. I like to share with you guys. So don't take this as me saying this is how it has to be. This is where my training has got me. And I often talk to other teachers, other practitioners, people that I respect, people that I consider quite high level. And we seem to agree that this is the direction one wants to take in their Kung Fu training. So yeah, take everything I say with a pinch of salt and see if it works for you. But this is my method of training these systems and teaching these systems.